Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. In this video, I'm going to do something that I normally don't do because normally me and tier list, I got like an allergic reaction to those things. But lately, a lot of people who I follow and I enjoy are making these as a fun way to sort of burn time until Monster Hunter Rise comes out, which is very soon, March 26th. And I just recently replayed through all of Monster Hunter World Iceborne with Yuna, and I thought it'd be fun to go through now that my brain is kind of fresh on all these monsters and give you my personal tier list. I think it's pretty obvious, but going into this, the weapon I use, the amount of times I've hunted them, everything becomes a factor. So this is very much my personal, how I like to fight them. Like if you're going to give me a menu, like I'm at a restaurant and say, hey, which monster would you like to hunt today? This might give you an idea of who I enjoy to hunt more than the other ones for various reasons. And of course, this is exclusive to World and Iceborne. At the end of this video, I'm also going to give you Yuna's tier list. She made one for me. She told me about why she put things where they did, but she didn't want to talk on camera. She's busy today and she's just not interested. I'm not going to force her. So I'm going to go ahead and share that at the end as well. And I thought it was pretty interesting. So here we go. We have the tier list. I added in a few extra columns here just so that we have some more room to play with. We've got the S tier, which is just like, I love this monster to death. Like both the design, the execution, the gameplay. I'll talk about why I put stuff in that list here. We've got our A tier list, which are monsters that I absolutely adore and are great. And the only reason that I have an A and S is just to distinguish the two. But they're both would be fantastic monsters. B are good monsters, ones that I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty good, implementation of the monster. I enjoyed it. C would be like, yeah, it's fine. Like nothing horribly great, nothing bad really to say about the monsters. Maybe a few bad things, but they're okay. They're standard, average. D is definitely the I do not like this monster, and I have reasons why. E is reserved for something special. The color is not meant to be a giveaway. And collab, because honestly I don't feel like ranking collaboration monsters along with the other ones. So I guess I'll start out by just throwing the collaboration monsters in there. Especially Behemoth. I'm not a player of MMOs, so I can't tell you how accurately they represented the MMO mechanic in the game when they put them in there, but I do like the idea that they did something so radically different, where they had a very Monster Hunter-like fight in Final Fantasy, and then they had a very MMO-like fight in this game. So whether you like it or not is really going to, I think, depend on if you like MMOs, which I'm not even familiar with them, so I couldn't tell you. I tell you, I don't like the idea that it can break the rocks that are like your safe spots. I don't personally like that, but it seems to be quite a normal mechanic when it comes to MMOs, so maybe that's fine. And the Witcher ones I enjoyed. The Ancient one I actually have not faced, but the original Leshen I thought was pretty cool. A little annoying with the bats, but fun nonetheless. So let's move on here. I try to put these guys in order as I remember them, sort of appearing in the game, so they might be a little off. But if, just roll with me here. So we're starting out with the Great Jagras, and honestly, I feel bad, but I'm going to put him in D because I think he actually does not do a very good job for his role. I think he was supposed to have the role of starting monster, and you'll hear lots of people who played older games talk very fondly about their first large monster, be it the Sensei Yankuku, who was the sensei for many, many players back in the day. And taught people how to, how to fight a large monster. Or even from my generation, because I started in 3rd gen, my sensei was kind of Arzuros, the bear, and I think he's fabulous for that role. Jagras is just kind of a punching bag, like he does a few bites and a few rolls here and there. Other than that, he's just huge, so he doesn't really teach you about targeting, because you can't reach a lot of his body parts, you're just hitting his big stomach. He doesn't have enough varied attacks, like he doesn't do like a huge tail and then spew a fireball at you, whatever. I just don't see him as being a very good starting monster. I think Pukapuke actually does a much better job as a starting monster, but you don't want to introduce status ailments that early in the game. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm putting Jagras as a D. Mr. Banana here, Iguana. So next up is Kuru Yaku. And Kuru Yaku, I think, as a monster, I love him. He's cute. I'm going to put him in B for the fact that the hunt is not something necessarily to write home about because he is a starting monster, but he's pretty cool. Like he picks up stuff, he tries to hit you with it. When he has a little rock or a vase in his hand, he all of a sudden feels like he can take on the world. And I like the concept of the monster and the execution. I would have loved to have seen a subspecies for him. But the Final Fantasy Quest version where he was kind of like, he picked up the crystal and he went kind of like crazy, that was a cool thing. So I'm going to give him a B. He's a good monster. Pukapuke, I'm going to put right in the middle. I think Pukapuke is a good starting monster. I love that the tail looks like Fruity Loops. At least like that's how it looks like to me. If you're not from America or any country that has Fruity Loops, it's a type of cereal. And its tail looks like a roll of Fruity Loops, I swear. It does have a funny meaning in some languages, the name, which I like to make fun of. But it's a cool monster, so I'll give it a C. I think it's basic. It's nice, it's interesting, but it's not a monster I'm going to hunt for fun. It ends up being kind of like a punching bag at the end of the day. Let's see here. Going on to the next one. So Berrioth. So Berrioth, I'm also going to put in C as well. It's a good monster. I do love that it gave them like the little steam engine, like before it charges you. I thought that was pretty cool. It certainly does teach players not to hit certain parts of the body, because you try to hit its head and it's just like you're going to bounce off like crazy. I think the game could have did a little bit better of teaching people how to use puddle pods to knock off the mud, so you can be doing a lot more damage. But overall, it's a pretty cool monster. Just nothing horribly to rate home, because once you know what he does, you just literally just have to step to the side and Thomas the tank will just charge into nothing. So C for him. Dirtotis, I'm so sorry, my man. I think there's a lot of tier lists where this monster does not get a lot of love, and I gotta say, for this one, he's the same. Not a lot of love. I mean, he's just a punching bag in the water. He's really no different to me than Jagras. I think the only difference that I like about this monster is that it does that little like swimming attack, and if you hit him, he'll flop out of the water like Flappy Jacks. It's really kind of funny, and then you can do some big damage. But overall, the hunt is not very memorable to me. I just remember hitting him really hard. So moving into Rathian, I'm going to have to give Rathian a C this time. Maybe it's just because I've hunted this monster so much in the series that it's just become a little trivial for me. Because I used to practice on this monster a lot. It was like my Nergigante of generations. Like in Monster Hunter 4, I would always go to Rathian, so I think I destroyed my love of the fight because I did them fight so many times. So this is not a knock on the monster, it's just my play history at work here. That and her lawnmower mode, which I call when she gets mad and she just runs at you and just keeps running at you and keeps running at you, can be very annoying in the slopes in Monster Hunter World. If you're fighting her in an open terrain, it's not so annoying. So yeah, I'd put her as C. I wouldn't actively go out to hunt her unless I had to. Same thing goes for Toby Kadachi. It's a monster that, this is also, I think the monster is cool and its attack patterns are cool. I just don't like the map, the ancient forest, especially the areas where you fight it. I think the first time it's a spectacle, you're like, whoa, he's on the trees and he's gathering static and I can knock him down and he's doing that. But more times than not, some other monster is getting in the way. So I can't actually recall a time where I fought Toby Kadachi without having to deal with some other stupid annoying monster. So if I fought the scene in the arena, I'd give it a B. If I have to fight in normal maps, I give it a C, just because it just gets so annoying. It's jumping around everywhere, which is fine, but when you start adding in other monsters or arenas with like constantly jumping down the vines, back up the vines, up the vines, down the vines, and it just gets really annoying, and even the scout flies have no idea what they're doing. So unfortunately, I think this is a product of its environment, so I'm going to give it a C. Next up, Anjanath. Anjanath, you know what? I'm going to have to give it a B. I'm not a huge fan of its visual design, I'll be honest, but I think as the first wall in the game, it does a really good job. It's nice and big, so it's very daunting the first time you accidentally run into it. When it gets upset, it's got great visual cues, like its little wings flatter and its nostrils, which are nasty, open up and stuff like that. It's got clear weak points. I think it's really good in that regard. So I think as a functioning mechanical monster, it's good. Again, not a huge fan of its design, but I think in a game mechanic, it works. It serves its purpose very well. Moving on, Seething Yaku. You know, I'm sorry, ZZ, you're going in the D column. ZZ is another one of those monsters. It's cute, it's funny, it ends up just becoming a punching bag, but unfortunately, this punching bag comes with a caveat that you have to stand behind it, because if you're standing in front of it, you're going to get flashed, and then you're going to be dizzy, and then you're going to get hit. It's not going to hit hard, and it's just going to be a little annoying. So unfortunately, I think it was a neat idea, weird execution, so I put it as D. I do love, though, the small little touch of all the Shamos that are around it. They have got really big, sensitive eyes, so when it does it, like, they're completely blinded. And I can't remember who exactly, but I think if you're near a monster that can't see or has its face covered, maybe it doesn't react so much to the thing. I just love those little things that Capcom does to keep it real. Next up is Paolumu. This is a tough one. I'm tempted to put Paolumu in B, but in the same token, you know, it does become kind of a predictable monster, and I want to put it in C, but it's definitely better than these monsters. So I think if there was no master rank, I would put it in C, but because there's the master rank version, I'm going to put it in B. So master rank Paolumu, I actually really enjoy. It does that like boom, 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 like it blows up in a balloon and it tries to stomp you like 4 times in a row. That added to the fact that it's horribly cute, and it's got a really fun. I call it the Dyson vacuum. It sounds like a you know sucking up air. Paolumu is a pretty fun hunt, I will say. That and seeing when Odogaron gets a hold of it and like ruffles it around like a dog toy, it's pretty funny. Great Gyros, I think you guys could probably expect what I'm going to do to this guy. I'm going to put him in the D1 as well. Again, you know what? This is kind of the fate of like these types of monsters. They're not meant to be memorable. They're supposed to be starting monsters of each area. You know, they're not meant to be horribly great. So this is not a knock against this monster. It's just the type of monster it is, you know? We actually went all the way through World in Iceborne, and Yuna had not ever fought it, or she didn't even remember it. So we actually had to go in and fight it just so she could say she fought it. She's like, I didn't even know there was a Great Gyros. I just thought they were all the same. Even when she saw it, she's like, oh, that's a large monster? I'm like, yeah. And she thought that was funny. So moving on, we got, let's see, I've been playing in Japanese with my daughter, so I want to say Dadobarukin, but it's Radoban in English. Radoban, I'm going to have to give him the C. He's another punching bag, but he does roll around a lot more, so he's certainly a lot more fun than these guys in the D column. I do like breaking off the bones. It's very satisfying. But even the roll mechanic can get kind of annoying because like they roll and they get caught up. It seems like the game's frozen and then they roll back at you, and sometimes you just want to tell them, stop rolling around, I want to fight you. So I'll give him a C. He's a decent monster. Legiana. I'm sorry, that's D. I hate this monster. Well, hate is a strong word. I like the monster. I don't like the fight. Even though I use Insight Glaive, so it's like incredibly trivial for me. I just jump it in the air, hitting it over and over again, which kind of makes it into a punching bag for me, which is why I put it in the D column, where like Yuna, she's playing bow. She doesn't get as many free shots as I do, because I could just jump up in the air and hit it. I just find the monster annoying. It's just flying around constantly, almost like, you know, it thinks it's a silver Rathalos, and it's just screaming all the time, and its scream is so high-pitched it can get really annoying. So I'm sorry, Legiana, I gotta give you a D. Odogaron, I know you guys keep making fun of the way I say it. I don't know how you want me to say it. I'm going to put him in the C column. I think he's interesting. I love his howls as he jumps around, and he can get a little annoying with the amount of jumping around he does, but if you take something like a lance or something where you don't care, you just let him come to you, it's much more enjoyable. So I definitely would put him up in a C for creativity. I love his armor set. The thing that really upset me was how long it took them to put in the layered armor, because the armor for this monster is so good that I wanted to use it throughout the end game, and you just can't because it's not viable. But it's a super cool looking armor, so we'll put him in the C spot. We got a lot of monsters, so I'll try to pick up the pace here. Rathalos, I'll give him a B. He does his role like usual. He's solid. He's a good wall for a lot of players. Feels like the king of the sky. I love the nest area where you can knock him down the waterfall. He's just all around. He's always been really good. So I'd say the implementation of him in this game has been fantastic as well. Diablo, same idea. I think he works really good as the king of the desert. As a lance user, he's really easy. So like when I hear people saying, oh, I have such a hard time with him, I'm like, okay, they're not a lancer. Because the lance can just stand there and you just power guard and, you know, you can't get hit. Once you learn this monster, though, it becomes much more enjoyable. I think if you don't know Like when he's charging at you, like if you just let him come at you and then you back evade, you can avoid him every time. Once you know that, the fight becomes much more enjoyable. So I think this is a monster that gets better over time. And I did fight it a lot because a lot of the stuff I wanted the horns for. So I do give this a B. Next up, Zora Magdaros. Zora, I'm going to give a B as well. Not only because I didn't farm this thing that much. I think I killed maybe 20 of them in the base game, and then with Yuna, we killed about 9 or 10. I just like the spectacle. It's definitely not the best hunt. Like, I'll recognize the hunt itself is kind of boring, and the fact that you can break off all the parts and you still got to wait for the game to progress to the bridge. You can literally just go and get a cup of coffee or go to the bathroom and be mid-hunt and still come back and there's time left. There's some things that they could have did a lot better, but I think as just every Monster Hunter game needs the spectacle monster, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm fighting that. And watching my daughter's experience with this monster and my first time against it, it was magical. And you know what? The magic points from that first few hunts, they count for a lot. So yeah, if you grinded it a lot, maybe you got bored of it. But also I gotta say, it's much more fun with other people when you can talk. Not when you're like playing with other people, but when you can talk with other people and play it. It's a pretty fun hunt because you can goof around. You can goof around who's taking what core. Oh, where am I? I don't know. I'm going to drop the things off the ceiling. Oh, I got Nergi. Don't worry about it. You can go search for coal and have fun. Or, you can goof around and have fun because it's not a very tough fight. So I say with other people is what makes this monster shine. And its armor is really good. So I will give it a B. Pink Rathian. Pink Rathian is another one I usually give around a B tier. She serves as a great wall when you first get into high rank. She feels different from the normal Rathian. The way that she fights, the speed in which she goes is great. She's not as hyper fast as she was in like Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which was crazy. So definitely better there. Overall, yeah, I like the aesthetics. I love the coloring, so I'll give her a B. This might upset some of you guys, but Dodo Gamma, I gotta put it as a D. To me, it's nothing more than a fire-breathing Jagras. I don't find it cute. I don't find it interesting. It's just annoying. Every time I'm trying to fight a monster, it's somehow behind me, spewing rocks on me and hitting my hunter. He never seems to attack the other monster, only me. And I just don't find him cute. I know he's everybody's best boy, but you know what? That's the beauty of Monster Hunter. One person may find a monster kind of ugly, while the other one finds it cute, and that's okay. But for me, I never really got attached to the monster, and I have fun, the fact that everyone does. So I've gone into like streams and I've tipped streamers money just to hunt him. Triceps, I'm looking at you, man. He really likes him and he didn't want to kill him, but I tipped him and I said, okay, now you have to hunt one. And he didn't want to do it. It was really funny. Uragan. What to do with Uragan? Uragan's a really tough one, usually to rank. I'm going to have to give him a C. This time, for some reason, I don't know, maybe the map was just too wide or it was the AI, but he never felt as foreboding as like, or as dangerous as he did in past games. Like, I remember facing him off in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and he was tough. Like, he had that little like circle, that center area where he'll roll into you, and you couldn't really follow him around. You were kind of just a sitting duck, and you had to avoid him and run around. Now it seems like you can just run around everywhere. So like when he's rolling, you're just like, are you done? You know, it didn't feel that dangerous to me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the balance, but he seemed a little too much of a pushover when I met him in the game. This shouldn't come as a surprise, but Lavasiath, you're another punching bag, except you're even more annoying because you get really hard skin. And then I can't damage you much. So, you know, it's not a bad monster. It's just not, I don't find it very enjoyable to hunt. Let's see here. The Azure Rathalos. What to do with him? You know, I'm going to give him a C. I never really, it may just be that I have not fought this monster enough, but I've never really understood the difference between it and its original one. They just don't feel that different to me. But because of that, Rathalos to me has a personality. He's in the forest, he's at the top, he's the king, he's got his nest. This guy is just like running around the Elder's, not the Elder Melder, what do you call it? The Elder's Recess? Like, I don't know what, he feels completely out of his habitat. And to me, that took away some of the allure of the monster, so I'll go ahead and give it a C. Plus, I have a long history of having very bad luck getting mantles from these guys. So I just naturally just don't like to hunt them, because I think it took me over, I think it was 130, but it was over 100 G rank Rathalos before I got my first mantle from them. So I never got to enjoy any of their sights in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. And as a result, I just ended up not liking the monster that much, even though I do like its implementation in the world. So Azure, I'm sorry, you'll go on C. And no, you're not a flagship monster, even if the US decided to put you on the box of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. That goes to Brekkie Dios, you cheater, you. Black Diablos. Black Diablos is a monster I generally like a lot, but this time I'm going to have to give it a C. I think maybe it's another one of those things where it was the timing of which it's introduced in the game felt a little off to me. It's so hard to penetrate this monster, and I mean that in a wholesome way. Like, you can't do damage against it unless you have really good sharpness. And if you're a blade master, at least when I ran into this monster every time, I did not have the sharpness needed. And I didn't have stuff like Mind's Eye decoration or anything like that. So I found the fight a little bit more annoying, where Diablo's fight I found very enjoyable. Still, I put it into C. I think it's a solid, great monster. It's just not as high to me as the regular Diablos. Basil. I love Basil. Basil Gieske, so I don't even know how to pronounce it. Basil, I'm going to go ahead and give an A. Basil's one of the surprise favorites from Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. Super fun to hunt. It's a little simplistic, so I'm not going to give it S. Like, once you know its patterns, it's kind of like a two-trick pony. It doesn't do that many different things, but man, its theme song, it's like roar when it comes at you, the way it bombs. It's a great, and it's a feel-good monster because every part of this body is taking huge amounts of damage, so you feel really good when you're damaging. But it is a sponge, isn't it? But Basil, I love you. You're great. Nergigante, you're the same, man. I love Nergigante. I think it's a great monster. It's a good wall. He's got great tells, and this is one of the things I love about this monster is he's so well choreographed, or telegraphed is the right word. He shows you what he's about to do, and what he does is very dangerous, but it's completely avoidable if you know what you're looking for. So it's a monster that really teaches and rewards you for understanding what you're doing. That and its arena has like those little walls you can jump up of, and it really rewards you for taking advantage of the systems that the game gives you. And I think, what more could you want from a flagship monster, right? That one monster that teaches you about the new mechanics of the game and rewards you for doing them right. So, and of course, all of its weapons are awesome. So Nergigante, combined with the fact that your snoring is really cute, I give you an A. Moving on. Kushara Daora. Kushala. What to do with this monster? Give me a second to think about this. I did not pre-rehearse this or choose these out, so I got to think about it. I'm going to give it a C. I like the hunt personally. I use Insect Glaive a lot in World and Iceborne, so I didn't find it that annoying. I could always get around the tornadoes. I love the spectacle, like Tornado Alley. When it's about to die, it goes up in that large area where it's very hard to kill it. It's a monster that gets much easier the more that you learn it, which means it's a good monster, so it's definitely not in the D tier. But I can definitely see where, depending on your weapon choice, it could be quite annoying to hunt this thing. But for Insect Glaive and Lance, I'll put it as a C. I didn't mind it that much. Teostra is going to be my first S. Teostra has always been one of my favorites. It's a hunt that I think more than most of the other monsters is fair. Like, it's hard, it's challenging, the monster takes advantage of the environment, and it's a fair hunt. There's nothing this monster does that I find unfair. There are lots of different tricks that you can do to get around whatever it does. Its Explosion Nova is a wonderful spectacle, and I just laugh and I have a good time every time I see it. He's a good monster. So yeah, I give him an S. Same thing goes with Val Hazak. I love this monster. The theme song, the gothicness of it, the design, it's so cute underneath like all the rotten flesh. It's got huge hit zones. It's got like, its own like mechanic with the effluvial stuff. You can drop rocks on it. The whole sucking life out of like the gyros thing, like everything about this monster is super cool. Its armor is fantastic. I can't sing enough praises about this monster, but wait until we get to its special variant, because that's even more fun. Kieran. Kieran, I'm going to give a B. I don't particularly like hunting the monster because of my weapon choices, but I can recognize that it's not a bad monster. It certainly was annoying. I think it was at HR 49 or whatever when I was trying to go up against it. But honestly, I just grabbed a bow and then it became very easy, which is another reason why I think Yuna liked the monster, because she plays bow. So I think it's a good monster. The design is nice. I love the lightning effects that they do in the game. It's a little annoying that the lightning effects really do come down from the sky. So if you're jumping in the air, you can get hit. It tempts me to put it into the sea because I wouldn't actively go out and hunt the monster. But taking it down does feel kind of special. And when you get the topple, it's like, oh, go, 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 go. This is our chance to get the big damage. Go for it. So for having a different tempo than the other monsters, I'm going to give it a B. Xeno'jiiva. Xeno'jiiva, I'm going to give a B as well. I think this reminds me of Zora Magdaros in that the spectacle of it was very fun. It's not a monster that I hunted that often, so I never got exhausted from the fight, but I can certainly see if you had to do it a lot, you might get exhausted. Also, I think this monster really rewarded you for knowing how to drop crystals down onto its head. You can finish the entire first phase like really fast if you just drop the crystals on its head. And boom, you're on to phase 2, which I thought was pretty fun and enjoyable. So as a final monster, I thought it worked really good. The theme song was great, the weapons, the design, everything about it. Yeah, good I'm kind of disappointed like Yuna that it didn't have a master rank version of this specific monster, maybe not its older cousin. But Xeno'jiiva I thought was pretty cool. Then we got Devil Joe, the pickle. You know, normally I would put Joe in A, but for this one I'm going to have to give him a B. I don't know why. It's just something about the version that it just didn't click with me as much as it did in previous games, but it's still a super fun monster. I'm a little split on the mechanic of like when you hit it and it flinches, it gets really upset and it tries to hit you back. And then if you hit it like in the chest or whatever, like when it comes at you, then you can get the big down. It feels like it could be hard depending on what weapon you're using. Maybe I'm wrong. But Devil Joe for me kind of got outshadowed by the Savage Devil Joe, which I thought was even a little bit more fun. Now we'll get to him. But yeah, B. I think he's a great monster. He's just not as high as I normally would put him for whatever reason. Call of Wrath, if you haven't noticed a pattern, I'm going to give it a B as well. I think the spectacle was great. This is the other monster I did not do like 100 runs of, like a lot of streamers and people like who play the game a lot. So I never got exhausted. I can certainly see how a lot of people could. I never cared about the weapons. I never wanted to use them. So for me, the hunt was just a really fun, cool new format. And I love the idea that Monster Hunter Team played around with new formats and didn't just stick to everything that they've always done. Just something new is always exciting. And Call of Wrath is certainly something that takes advantage of the system from World and Iceborne. So I like the monster a lot. Again, I didn't use the weapons because like Guild Quest weapons or relics, even Savage Evo weapons to a degree, I just don't like using a weapon that feels like it was an RNG drop. I'd much rather have the memories of crafting the weapon. But as far as the monster and the visual design and the theme song and everything, I gotta give it a B, because that final arena down in the basement is awesome. If I can criticize it, I will say that, and what stops it from being an A, honestly, is the clock timer. I don't mind that it runs away in the first phase or the second phase, but for it to run away when it's in the basement, when it's locked in there, there's no place to run, and you're trying to break the horns, and it's do or die, and it's really aggressive, there's no reason why they need to keep the time limit. They could have just kept it aggressive. I think you earn the right to fight her if you got her down to the basement, so she would have been an A, but I'm going to put her as a B because of that. Lunastra, I'm sorry, garbage. I don't like the monster at all. It just feels like artificial difficulty to me. Floor is lava, you can't touch it, constant wind stuff, fire breaths. It's just designed to be annoying. Maybe it's the weapons I was using, but as a melee weapon user, she is just super annoying, and everything, like usually when you die to all these monsters D and above, especially C and above, you know it was your fault. Like you're gonna go, oh, I should have saw it coming. Oh, I was being greedy. With her, it's just like, no, this is Capcom being mean. I hate this monster, and I've never felt really good. So I'm going to have to put her as E just because I don't personally enjoy it. I do love her design. and I love the color palette, but just like hunting her, no way. I would rather eat dirt than to hunt this monster. Baototis. Baototis is a tough one because it is a punching bag like the other fish and monsters over here. There's something about it that makes me want to put it in C though. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Why would it deserve to be in C where all these other ones are in D? Besides the fact that it's like the first master rank monster that you fight and you beat outside of Bombardo. You know what? If I don't know, but I'm inkling towards C, I'm just going to give it the C. I don't know the specific reason. Maybe it's because it's got the shark fin that you can break off and it feels like, you know, it just feels a little bit more, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with an excuse. I don't know why, guys. I just like the monster a little bit more. So I'll put him in C. I think he's a good monster. For opening up master rank, I think he's great. It also, yeah, when you get that skill that allows you to move in the snow at a regular speed, it feels really good to hunt this monster. Riding him feels like you're surfing on the snow, so I'll give him a C. I kind of like the monster. Then we got Bombardo. Bombardo, I'm going to give a B to. I actually really like this monster. To me, it's like the perfect opening to master rank. I really wish they would have had you hunt this monster instead of Beototis. I think it would have made a better one for an intro. But it's big and large, so you got to learn how to get away. When it runs at you with the tree trunks, it's hilarious and fun and deadly. It hits you hard enough, but it's got these huge horns, so there's a huge target of stuff to break and to aim for. It's a very easy monster to wall bang, so to me, it's a very good tutorial monster for Iceborne. So Bombardo, congratulations, you got in my B tier. Viper, Toby Kadachi. You know what, I'm sorry, I'm putting you in D, not because you're a punching bag, because you're annoying. Giving a monster both poison and paralysis is just asking for people to not like it. I just never really enjoyed the hunt. And then if you put on like anti-poison or anti-paralysis, it becomes the most trivial hunt ever because it doesn't have the trees and stuff to jump off of like Toby Kadachi did. The areas are so much more wider in the Ice Frost Reach. It just doesn't feel like a very difficult monster. So to me, it's like, okay, it's the status decoration tutorial monster. Please put on anti-poison. Please put on anti-paralysis. Okay, now you can win. So it's got a really cool sleeping sound. I'll give it that, but not my most enjoyed monster. Nightshade Paolumu. I'm going to put this one in the C column. It feels, I mean, I like it just as much as Paolumu as a character. It's got sleep, and that can be kind of annoying. And, you know, when I played through, I never had enough decorations because the game makes you get decorations through RNG, and you can't craft them, which upsets me, and that has nothing to do with this monster. But because I didn't have anti-sleep, this fight just became annoying because it has these sleep clouds that put you to sleep constantly. Your hunter really doesn't get, you know, added endurance. Like the more you get put to sleep, it gets harder for you to go to sleep. No, it's the same every time. So to me, it was made a little bit annoying just by the fact that I did not have anti-sleep. I do wonder though, without anti-sleep, would it really feel that different from a normal Paolumu? I don't know. So I'll give it a C. Coral Pukapuke, I'm going to give this one a B. This is one that I really enjoyed. The original Pukapuke was a cool monster, but was a real pushover. This one though, it's got like the squirt gun. It's like, like if you ever had like a garden hose or a sprinkler and you accidentally like let go and it just starts spraying everywhere. That's exactly what this tail does. I think it's just really funny and cute. And it's a very enjoyable monster to hunt. And I think it themes off really well with the Coral Highlands, both color palette wise and everything else. So yeah, I like it. Berrioth. Berrioth gets a B for me. Berrioth has always been one of my favorite monsters to hunt. It's predictable if you know what you're looking for. It jumps around, but like a good boy, it does come to you. So you don't have to chase it around forever if you don't want to. And it's got those big tusks, and you know me, I always mention that I like it when a monster has a crown or something that you really want to go for. So it's certainly a prize to go for, is breaking off those teeth, and when you do, it feels so good. So yeah, I'll give him a B. He's fun. Let's see if I can speed this up. I'm taking forever. I thought this would be like a 10-minute video, and I'm realizing now it's really hard to talk about this stuff and keep it fast. So Nergigante, you're an A. Nergigante, this is probably more nostalgia than anything, but Nergigante has always been a very fun hunt. It's been like, evading or sidestepping through one of its tail attacks remains incredibly satisfying to do. It's very predictable, so you can punish it very well, like the double tail slams and stuff like that. But it's also punishing, so if you screw up, you can really get hurt. So Nergigante has always been one of my favorites, so it goes up in A. Lavenus, I'm sorry, Arx Gaming, it goes under E. No, I'm just joking. We have a fun little joke here where I like to talk smack about his favorite Fated 4 monster, even though I like it as well. And he talks smack about Mizutsune, and we just joke around with each other on it. But Lavenus is a great monster. I have nothing but good things to say about it. It's a very good telegraphed fight. The huge windup with the tail. You can Superman dive. You can get out of the way. There's lots of different ways to get around this monster. I love the idea that it has 2 modes. So like, it gets a hot face or a hot tail, and you can then aim for those. And it's a weak point that gives you, it's a greater chance you can get a lot of damage, but it's also risk and reward. Like if you hit those parts and you flinch them, you get a big down. So from a game design perspective, it's a fabulous monster. Tigrex, T-Rex, whatever you want to call it. It's Tigrex, I think, or Tigrex. Is it Tigrex now or Tigrex? Tigrex, yeah. So Tigrex, thanks Capcom for confusing us all. I'll give it an A. It's always been one of my favorite monsters for the same ideas of Nergigante. It's just very in your face. It's very fun to avoid this monster when he's charging at you. It almost feels like a bullfighter or something like that. Of course, that's barbaric, and this is a monster in a video game, so it's okay. So I'm totally cool with Tigrex. I can't even say it now. I've now confused myself. Tigrex is a very fun hunt. Dios. What to do with Dios? This was a really tough one because I really like this monster. It's the flagship of my first Monster Hunter game. And I've always had this image in my head of the monster being super challenging, fun, get you in a tight corner like a boxer, pivoting around you left and right, doing stuff. And the monster just changed after the 3rd generation, and it's never been the same to me. I love its weapons. I love the monster. I love the concept. I can't get over what it used to be to me. In 3rd generation, it would pivot around you in a way that you were trapped. Like, it would just box you. And that was such a cool thing. But now with the terrains being so big, the hunter being so mobile, there's just something fundamentally different about the hunt that... Oh, what do? I do not want to put him with Berrioth, though. I'm going to give him a B. But he's a lower B. There's just something about the hunt that just doesn't feel special to me anymore, and this is just my memories as a 3rd fleeter, so my apologies. If you fall in love with the monster, I don't blame you. It's a fabulous monster. Heck, the Guildmarm is in love with the monster, so who can disagree with her, right? Shrieking Legiana, you're a D. You are annoying as all get out. So you go right next to your cousin here. Same reasons, so I'm not even going to go into them, just even more annoying because of the ice. The Fulgor Anjanath. Fulgor, is that the right name? Same thing here. Honestly, I don't see the difference between these two. It literally is just a thunder version of the Anjanath. It does have some flashier big attacks, which is kind of cool, but to me the hunt feels the same, so it'd be weird to rank them differently. The acidic Lavenus is the exact same deal I have with Lavenus. The hunts are close enough that I think they belong together. I do love what they did with the tail, though, and it uses it more like a longsword, like really fast, swift, where Lavenus uses it more like a greatsword, nice and big and heavy. So I think they did a great job on its subspecies here. The Ebony Odogaron. He's going in the same place as his cousin. You're going to see this as a pattern where generally I feel the same about subspecies as I do their normal ones. I love the colors on this thing, like the Hellhound idea. The armor looks great. The red sort of Savage Joe kind of like redness coming out of its mouth is very cool. But it also makes it like 10 times more annoying to fight than Odogaron. So I think put together they balance each other out, and I think they belong together. Velkhana definitely gets an A for me. I think Velkhana was, just like Nergigante, a very good flagship monster. Felt very different. Maybe because I play Insect Glaive, I didn't find the crystals that annoying, where some weapons might. Love the theme song. Love the different places. Just the shattering of all the crystals. I think it's a good showcase of just how awesome the graphics and the sound design is for the game. Like, there's just something about the shattering sounds of this is just super satisfying. And the armor is so good. Savage Devil Joe. Savage Devil Joe. I'm going to put him... yeah, I'm going to put him here. I normally would put him up in A or even S. He's one of my favorite monsters ever in the series. For some reason, I find him easier in this game than I do in the past games. Like, when you ran into this guy in G rank in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, you ran for your life. Like, he had breath attacks that would one-shot you. He was scary. He'd get up on his hind legs. There was something really daunting about him. In this game, he feels more manageable. I don't know. I think maybe it's because by the time you reach him, everyone has Blight Resistance level 3. So, like, Dragon Blight is not even a concern at that point. You're just like, whatever. If this was like the old games where you only had, like, 4 or 5 skills you can bring into battle, then, yeah, you'd really have to think about it because his Dragon Blight can be quite nasty. So I'll give him a B. He's a great monster, though. The Seething Basil, definitely an S. And this is one of the reasons why I'm putting Basil as A. This thing has all the variation I wanted from the regular Basil. It's got like the firework attacks. It throws off those little bombs everywhere. It looks like a lava lamp, like a I don't know what to say. It's like a party. I just love the colors. You can put on like techno music and like the soundtrack from Blade or something in the background, and it would work really good with this monster probably. So nothing but good things to say about it. Same goes with the Black Veil Val Hazak. I loved this version of the monster. It felt different enough from the base version that I felt that it was special. The whole idea of like covering the whole area around you with this poisonous dust. It was like a Dyson vacuum going in reverse and blowing its dust everywhere. It was kind of funny. And again, I love the armor and the soundtrack, and I love the intro movie for this monster. Oh, it's like I want to say Biohazard. It's like Resident Evil, and it's like, oh god, oh, it's got the nasty face next to me. This is the monster more than anything that's cute. Me and Yuna find this thing adorable. You can't see its face at start because it's covered in by all this stuff, but if you hit its face and you break it, then you can see like its eyes become visible, and they're like little squishy, little like alien, almost Xenojiva-like eyes. They're really cute. So definitely recommend you check that out. If you have not broken its head during a fight to see that cute little face, you really should. Namiel, I will put as B. Normally, I would like to put Elder Dragons up as A, but for some reason, I just found the monster a little easy. I think it's because I play Insect Glaive so much, so you know most of the attacks in the ground were a little too easy. I love the armor. I love the soundtrack. Fighting it is fun. The sound effects are fun. You know, I'm going to put it in A. You're right. You know, it doesn't belong against these guys. It's better than that. So, yeah, Namiel, I'll give it an A. Let's double thinking myself here. But that's a fun hunt. And I recently made its armor, and its armor looks so good. It's like a Splatoon hunter running around. It's so funny. Ruiner Nergigante is one of my favorite hunts in this entire game. Definitely gets an S for me. The arena that you fight it in, like in that little like Ode to Judgment or whatever it's called, like that like circular arena is so awesome. It's like a cage match against a very aggressive Nergigante. And I love, again, that it's so punishing, but you know what it's going to do. Like, if it throws down its right shoulder, then you know that the spikes are going to flow to the right, so you can just stand to the left and you're completely safe. Tons of areas to punish him, but in, like, the last, I don't know, 10% or whatever health, he becomes, like, super fast and enraged. And I love that when you can tell when a monster is about to die. Like, there's super clear signs, and then it gets, like, the stakes become higher. I think it's perfect. Really, really enjoyed this hunt. I was really disappointed that they locked it behind Master Rank 100. I think that was a mistake. It should have been like Master Rank 50 so that more people could have hunted it, because it really is a gem, in my opinion. Shala Ichivalda. You guys are going to love this one. I'm sorry, it goes in D. You know what? The first time I played it, sure, it was cool. Monster design, cool. The like Hindu sort of like the design, cool. Weapons are cool. I hate the hunt. It's just boring. Like, you have to break through all the rocks, which is not a phase I enjoy. Then you finally get the face thing, and it's designed to just punish you for not knowing what to do. Like, you can't move. You got the tremors. You got like it tries to trap you, and it's sort of like, it's like a check. The game is saying, hey, do you have these armor decorations? Okay, well, you can die now. And I found that really annoying. the moves are not that varied. It literally just sits there and shoots a cannon at you almost the entire time. There's like nothing else it does. So to me, that was boring. If they would have made it where the story part was breaking through the rock, and then any time afterwards when you faced it, you would just go off straight into the actual hunt against it, and there's no rock phase, I would have put it at like a C. Also, if the armor is a last boss, its armor should have been more usable in my opinion. It just seemed a little weird and situational. It almost reminded me of like Narcarcos. The armor should have been better, especially for Iceborne, the G rank, so to say, expansion. I just found it disappointing. Garugas. These guys go in the C column for me. I honestly didn't find them very different, but I found them very fun. It's always been a really fun monster to me. It's like an evil young cuckoo. The only reason why I didn't put it in B is because they locked it again behind endgame. So like this would have been a really fun monster to hunt, you know, earlier in master rank through the story. But the fact that it's locked behind stuff, that by the time you get to it, you kill it, you like it, you have fun, and you looked at his armor set and it doesn't even have a set skill, which I don't understand why they did that to the monster. It's such a fun hunt. Like, why would you make it pointless? Like, it's got some good pieces for mix sets, but it doesn't have any like full armor bonus at all, if my memory serves me correctly. And that was kind of annoying. But it is a very nice hunt. I do like the monster. Zinogre. You know, Zinogre, when I first started playing Iceborne, I was going to give him a B, because I said there was something about him that I didn't like as much as I did the old games, but he grew on me. There's something about the new iteration of the monster that has grown on me, and I definitely enjoy it. I'm going to skip ahead and put Zinogre Stygian next to him as well. They're enjoyable. I think in their own right they feel different from the past hunts, where I think he jumps around and does more area attacks, where in the past games you got this kind of, you know, he'd have his strut, you know, and you'd be up in his face and trying to hit him in the face. It was just a very different paced, very different feeling hunt, where it's not like that anymore. But unlike Dios, I think the new iteration has its own good points to it, and they're quite enjoyable. The root Tigrex goes right next to Tigrex. I thought that was a very fun hunt. He obviously screams a lot more than the regular one. And he's locked behind MR70, I think, which is crazy, and his armor is stupidly fun and good. Yeah, but not horribly different from the base monster, so I'll go and give them the same ranking here. As far as gold and silver go, it's another one. I'm disappointed they locked them behind MR70, but they're both very fun, and they feel very different. They do feel like high-end, hard versions of the base monster, which is exactly what they need to be. And their armor is so good. So there's a huge reward for actually facing them. So yeah, and I love those little light effects that they give their flames to make sure it feels more powerful. So these guys get an A from me, guys and girls. Sorry about that. Rajang, you know what? Herny, I hope I said his name right. He made a really good video on why Rajang doesn't feel as good as he did in the past games. So I'm not going to try to echo his sentiment. I'm going to put a link in the video description, actually. I like the video so much. I think he nailed why Rajang doesn't feel as special as he did in the past games. So go ahead and watch that. It's a fantastic video. Very funny and well produced. Raging Brekkie Dios. Raging Brekkie Dios, I will give a B. It's a monster where I like the spectacle of it, especially when you get in that final arena and you're trapped and he starts blowing up the ground and stuff. It's very fun. But it's also, I don't know, it's a tiring hunt, if that makes any sense. Maybe it's because the amount of blasts that's everywhere, or just his immense size, or his HP pool. But it never struck me as a monster as like, okay, I want to hunt like 10 of these in a row. It just felt like it took a little out of you. But it's a cool monster. So B means I like it. It's a great monster. So B it goes. Alatreon, you know what? I'm gonna give it an S. It's one of those monsters that when you first face it, it's like an E. Like you're just like, what the heck is with this scene? It's like it barely has any openings. It doesn't let you breathe. It makes you build a set just to beat it, which is new for the game. But you know what? When you do it, oh my gosh, is that a rush? Does that feel good? And the fact is, it feels different from every other monster, and that I think is a good thing. Whether you like it or not depends on your weapon, depends on if you like the idea that they're forcing you to play with elemental weapons, hit certain body parts. You have to play aggressive. They're not going to let you, you know, diddle daddle and like just get a free hit here and now and then. They are going to make you be aggressive. If you like that, then you'll probably like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. It's fine. We don't always have to like the same monsters, but for me, he's an S. Same goes with Fatalis. Fatalis, I think, is hands down the best. My favorite, I won't say the best because it sounds like I'm making a statement, not an opinion, but to me, it is my favorite overall hunt. By time you beat this thing, everything else in the game except Alatreon is a total pushover. Everything like is a pushover. You're so good at knowing your timing windows, your punish windows, how to avoid attacks, how not to get hit. You built your armor so strong that you can take those hits and you skilled them out the right way. You know what? You deserve to have some broken armor and some broken weapons that are stupidly good, because everything else at that point is going to be so easy. It's like saying, congratulations, you beat the game. Here's the keys to the car. So to me, Fatalis was a fantastic final sending off for the game. So definitely gets the S tier for me, if not SS if I wanted to add one. Frostbang Berrioth, I'm just going to give it the same as regular Berrioth. It's a fun hunt. Less HP than I was expecting, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it was kind of surprising. The new stats effect is a little annoying, but I didn't really get hit with it that much. So I will just rate him as sort of just a variant. And Savajiva, as the other ones go, I'm going to give it a B as well. I think the spectacle was fantastic. The first time I faced it and we beat it, I was just like, whoa, that was amazing. I do get the complaints though. If you're not able to get into a room with a lot of people, especially if you don't have access to playing online, this monster is like a D or an E, because it's just so tedious to do alone, even with the update that they did. And the weapons are super grindy. There's some RNG behind some of them. They're very rewarding, and it's a great set that's fun and risky to use. And it's a great thing, but it depends on your play environment. So anytime I've ever gotten to play this thing, I've made sure that I found rooms with lots of people. And it was really fun. So I will go ahead and give it a B. Anyways, this concludes my tier list of how I enjoyed the monsters from Monster Hunter World and Rise. Hopefully you found that interesting. And now I'm going to swap over to Yunus' tier list and explain her choices very briefly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let's switch over to Yunus. Yunus. Again, she didn't want to talk on camera, which is fine. If she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to. But this is her tier list, so I'm walking through. I'm going to start bottom up. So the question ones are monsters that she has yet to face. So we're not quite master rank 70 yet, so she's not had the opportunity to fight like the Gold Rathian, the Silver Rathalos. We just haven't gotten around to doing Rajang yet, but we will, or like the Tigrex will be on master rank 70 as well. She hasn't tried the collaboration events, or the whatever its name is, the eye guard eye young Garuga. Dios, we still have not gotten. We've done like the event thing where we spun the Steamworks, and we made, I think, something like 500 decorations. She still does not have the ability to slot in blast resistance. Now she could make armor for it, but she just is not interested in doing that because she likes her armor. So until she gets blast resistance, I think we're going to have to put this off, because I think it would be very frustrating to her as a bow user to have to do this fight with getting blast as well. So we have not done it yet. Evil Joe we've run into, but we never actually fought. We did fight the Savage Joe, which we'll see in a little bit. And Azure is another one where we've run into it in maps, but we never really fought it, so she didn't have an opinion yet on the monster. Going into her F tier of monsters she just does not like at all. Kushala Daoda, as a bow user, for her has been incredibly frustrating. I actually had to kill Kusharu the first time that we did it, because she was so annoyed by the monster that she just went in camp and I killed it, and we progressed. She did actually go back when I was making dinner the other day, and she fought Kushada and she beat it solo, just because it didn't feel right to her that she didn't beat it yet. So she went back to do it and she won. And I said, how was it? She's like, great, but I'm not doing that again. She can't stand the fact that the arrows are bouncing off the monster, which it's not even the tornadoes that bother her. It's the fact that the arrows are bouncing off, and that is annoying. Alatreon, she feels, is just too hard. The pace of the hunt is just way too fast for her liking. And she said, you know what? After watching you fight it, I'm not interested in this at all. Like, I have no bone in my body. Feels like I want to hunt this monster. It probably will just frustrate me. Which again, I think is fine. Some people just don't like that type of challenge, and it's not mandatory. I went ahead and I was the one who beat her baby Alatreon so that she can fight Fatalis. And Fatalis is actually on her F list as well. She's like, it's too powerful. Why do they tune it in a way that expects you to do so much in the game? And she also actually doesn't like the idea that its armor is broken. She purposely does not want to make the armor. She made the weapon though. With the few attempts that we did, we got enough parts. But she doesn't want to make the armor because she's like, well, then it will take away my enjoyment of making the other sets. Because again, we haven't even unlocked the MR70 monsters because of the way they locked them behind it. So she really wants to make these sets and enjoy them. So making a Fatalis set now is just going to ruin it for her. So at this point, it's an F, but she actually does want to go and beat this thing eventually. Whereas Alatreon, she has no interest at all. She just doesn't want to hunt it. Ichivalda, she found incredibly boring. There was nothing about this hunt that she found interesting. She thinks the monster is kind of ugly. And it's just, yeah, busting through rocks was not exactly an enjoyable experience for either of us. Shrieking Legiana, I think this is because she's a bow user as well. She just found this monster so annoying that it made her like put the controller down. She was like, I don't like this monster. So that, and always would gang up with its other Legiana. We never had dung pods, so we couldn't get them separate. It was so annoying. So yeah, she did not enjoy that hunt. Her Ds, and her definition of D was like, I really don't even remember it. There's nothing memorable about it. Anjanath, she just said that it was hard for her to hit its nose. I think it's because at that point in the game, she was not as good as she is now. I think as she went back and she played it, I think she'd realize she's gotten a lot better. But I don't know, the design just didn't ring home for her. It just wasn't a fight. She felt that it was really aggressive and a little annoying when it got you stuck into a wall and it just charged at you. So for her, it was not a very memorable fight, but she didn't hate it or anything, which is her F. So she also, for some weird reason, shares the same as me. She does not find Dodo Gamma cute at all. She finds it very annoying. So she put it in the D column. Same goes with Gyros, Jagras. Like, these are all monsters that to her are just like, nyeh. I found it interesting that she put Ebony Odogaron in here, and the reason is being that when you do the intro cutscene, it kills a normal Odogaron, and then it throws it off the side of the cliff. And she's like, hey, you're not even going to let me carve that? What the heck? It just went to waste. And she got really upset. She also didn't like just monsters jumping around that much. It got annoying for her, but she ranked it lower than Odogaron because it was wasteful and did not let her carve. With the other monsters, if you start when they like kill a monster and you start out, you can actually carve it. You couldn't carve the Odogaron. So she thought that was rude. For her C rank, her definition of this was fun monster. Nothing amazing, but nothing bad at all. So she had fun with Berrioth, Diablos, Kuru Yaku, Odogaron, Puke, Radoban, Uragan. All these monsters she thought were fine. Her B is when she starts getting into, I found this enjoyable. I thought it was a good hunt. That was Black Diablos. I was really interested to see that she put that one on there. She liked how aggressive it was. She found that exciting. So I could definitely see us sharing traits between the two of us. She likes Dirtotis. I'm not joking you. She says it's cute. Normally, I understand when she's finding something cute, like I'll agree with her. But this one, she's on her own. She found the monster cute. She found it very easy to hunt and work with. She liked it when it does that little, like, you know, zoomy in the water and it's jumping up and down. She thought that was cute. She likes the monster. What can I say? So it just shows not everybody hates this monster. Leia and Rathalos, she liked. She thought they were great monsters. Toby, she thought was, she called it interesting. The way that it jumps around and creates static electricity. As someone who deals with static electricity in her hair all the time, I thought she found that funny. Lavenus, the combo she thought was cool, although she could not remember the difference between the two of them, which I thought was really funny. Zin Ogres, we've hunted quite a few actually together, so she enjoys that hunt, and Tigrex she found really funny and cute. Going into her A tier, these are like monsters that she really liked. She thought they stood out. Kieran, I think as a bow user, it was easier for her, but she took down a master rank Kieran alone without any problem, where I would struggle. So she liked Kieran. She says, she says, the key to a woman's heart is white and fluffy, and that's what Paolumu and Kieran have, so she liked it a lot. She likes Lunastra, and you know what, I have to say, I think the reason why is because the only Lunastras that she has fought were high-rank versions when she had master rank gear on. She tells me, no, that's not the case, I swear. I think that's what it was, but she says as a bow user, she found it easy to avoid all the traps in the ground and everything, like the fire. I don't know. You let me guys know down in the comments below. Is it just a better hunt if you are a gunner? She seems to think so. She loved the bond attack, which I'll agree with Teostra. She thought that was amazing. So she put both of these monsters up in A. She thought they were great. Both Nergigantes were very aggressive. She enjoyed them greatly. The pink Rathian, aggressive. She's like me. She likes aggressive monsters. So we got Berrioth, the other Berrioth, Narga, Savage, and young Garuga, who she thought was adorable because the event quest has that really small young Garuga that you go up against. So she really thought it was a cute monster. Then going into her S tiers, and these are really like the top of the top, like monsters she loves. She wants to buy plushes. She wants to buy figures of. She really likes these monsters a lot. We've got both Basils. She loved those monsters to death. Call of Tirath, she's only done 3 of them, but she really enjoyed the hunt and thought it was exhilarating. She really likes the spectacle hunts, which I have to agree with. Especially as her first Monster Hunter game that she's played through, you have to understand, you never forget your first spectacle hunts. Whether it's the Jen Moran, the Darren Moran, your Dalamadur, like these scenes are etched in your memory, whether or not they were super exciting to do over and over again or not. They're very memorable, so they serve a very good purpose. Pao Lumus, she's a huge fan. She loves this monster to death. Val Hazak, she finds adorable and she enjoys it. Xenojiva is probably one of her favorite monsters, and she's got some plushes of it now. She's hunted the Arc-Tempered one solo just over and over again just because she found it fun and cute. Zora Magdaros is another one we did over a dozen almost of this monster. She really enjoyed. Again, I think it's because we do it together, and I think it's more fun that way. Namiel, we enjoyed doing lots of hunts to make the set. Safijiva, again, spectacles, she really enjoyed the hunt. And Velkhana, for being the awesome flagship monster it is, she had some great enjoyment. So, I'm sorry you couldn't hear it in her words. She didn't want to talk about it, but this is her tier list. We're going to go ahead and work on getting her to play these monsters in this tier here that she has not faced yet. And we'll see what she thinks, but hopefully you guys found her list interesting as well. Anyways, that wraps it up. I've been going on way longer than I thought I would. Hopefully you found this list interesting. Let me know down in the comments below if there's anything that stood out. Hope you guys are having a good time. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy hunting.